And so they said I could push, and so I like got into position. And the first push, I was like, this hurt. So again, August 1st, we started looking for names, and the morning of August 2nd, I'm getting ready to go to work. I took a shower, I'm getting dressed, and like I start feeling something that's kind of odd. So I called my line sister, who was also, she wanted to be a doula at that time, and she actually is a doula now. And so I called her and I was like, hey, what do labor pains feel like? And she was like, oh, they just feel like cramps. And I'm like, oh, okay, so maybe this is what's going on. So my stomach was acting really funny too, so I was like a little bit nervous to go to work because I didn't want to like go to work and have to like come home and people to be freaked out and all that different stuff. So I waited around for a couple hours and I decided I'm just going to call in and say I don't feel so well and I'm not going to go to work today. So the time was going on, and they started getting more regular. So like I'm realizing, okay, now this is real. These are contractions. Here we are. And so I called my mom around noon and I told her, I said, hey, so I think I'm in labor, so you might want to come, because she lives in New Jersey, so it's going to take her about 3 hours to get here. So her and my sister were coming. And I know they said, like, you know, your first kid takes the longest. So I didn't know what to expect. I was just going through contractions. So prior to going into labor, I had been doing some hypnobirthing, and I had some positive affirmations that were all on my wall, and I had some nice music. I had my birthing ball, and so that was my plan, was to go through as much labor at home as possible so that I didn't go to the hospital and they weren't trying to give me any kind of medical interventions.
Good morning. So I think it's baby day. Yeah, this is kind of happening. So I put all my birthday affirmations up on the wall. They're actually all over my bedroom and the bathroom where I seem to have to go a lot.
Even to the point where I was like talking to my friends on Marco Polo in between contractions, and they're like, what the hell are you doing? I've never seen anybody that's in labor that's like so like calm and laughing. Like, whatever you're doing, make sure you remember it, because when I have kids, I want to do it too.
So far the contractions just feel like period cramps, but apparently they get more intense, so we'll see what happens when that happens. Yeah, in between the contractions is regular, you just feel regular, and then the contractions come for a minute, and then you're like, oh, okay, just go. Okay, I have my affirmations going, if you can hear them in the background, and I have my lavender candle going. It's good, but I feel like it might be coming now, actually. Whew. Okay, let me see. Yeah, it's coming. All right, I gotta go so I can time it. I'm back. They last like 45 seconds to a minute, and then once you get through it, it's just done, which is great. Now when they start getting close together, I'm sure it's gonna be a lot different, but I'm fine. I'm gonna work this out. Be calm. My body is made for this. I'm a woman.
And I'm like explaining to them, it's just a technique. It's about getting your mind right. And I realized that like the hypnobirthing books and the course, and also another book that I read was Ina May's Guide to Childbirth, and it really just helped me get my mind right, which was the most important part. So like I said, I'm going through the motions. My line sister finally comes over and she's like, okay, we're gonna go walking. Now, I was told that you go to the hospital when your contractions are 5 minutes apart.
So we're headed to the hospital. These contractions are getting closer together. I was supposed to go when they were 5 minutes apart, but then I don't know if my water broke or the mucus plug came out. All I know, it was snot. It seemed like snot. It was gross. Yeah, now they're like 2.5, 3 minutes apart. So we're gonna go. Look what I'm smuggling into the hospital, y'all.
You've been talking about LASIK, and now there's
what if they have Southern Maryland?
Yeah, I can't.
So we get to the hospital and they check me, and the lady said, well, you're not even a centimeter dilated, so just come back either when your water breaks or when the pain is like so unbearable that like you'll know when you're actually in labor. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I've been in labor for hours at this point. And so I understand now what they mean, which is like active labor versus like inactive labor. But how I count it is anytime you have a contraction is labor. I don't care what y'all talking about. Like, that doesn't even make good sense. Pain is pain is pain. Just because it's not as intense doesn't mean I'm not like in labor. So we came home. My mom had finally got here. We were dancing all day and having fun. And in between contractions, I'm on the birthing ball. We're dancing, whatever we could do to try to get this baby out. My concern was the nurse at the hospital said to come back when the pain was unbearable. And for me, that's hard because I have a really high pain tolerance.
They're getting there. I've had a couple that are like, whoa. But for my pain tolerance, before they were like a 3. Now they're probably like a 5. Still don't want to take drugs though, so manageable at this point. There was like 1 or 2 that was like made me stop talking.
Little did I know that on Friday I would still be in labor.
It's been a long 24 hours. Okay. I just want to sleep for a little while, but then it's crazy because then they wake me up out of my sleep. And so I said, it wakes me up enough to say start, and then when I breathe, and then I fall asleep and I forget to tell Aaron to stop.
But I know when to stop. I do know. I stop when you stop breathing heavy. And I don't wake you up and go, hey, did you stop?
So my doctor said just come in.
I forgot I had a doctor's appointment today, so I ended up going to my doctor's appointment because she's connected to the hospital, only to find out that after 30 hours I'm a centimeter dilated. And she's like, you're not really in labor. What you mean? And then you gonna touch me to something. Ooh, that's a strong contraction. Well, what the is labor? So she gave me some kind of sleeping pill. She's like, get some rest. And she thinks that once I be able to relax, then I will dilate to where I need to be. So I guess it's 5:23 now. Looks like I'll have a baby tomorrow. I'm just frustrated. I'm really frustrated. I definitely broke down and cried in the office because I was like, you can't be serious. Like,
so my doctor said, I'm going to prescribe you an Ambien and I'm going to give you 2. She said, take 1. She said, if you're not like sleep within an hour, take the second one. So I said, okay. I get this prescription filled and the Ambien pills are like teeny tiny. And I'm like, this little bitty pill supposed to like knock me out? Like, that's concerning that this little bitty pill has like this much power. So I took the first pill maybe around, I think it was like 11. And then I remember I was like, oh my God, I feel so high. Like I can't move my legs.
so I'm back home. I took one of the pills the doctor gave me. Apparently she gave me the good shit. It's like a generic version of Ambien. That's my doctor trying to make me and my baby high. Lord Jesus. But I am gladly going to take this sleep. What's crazy is I took it about 30-40 minutes ago. And my contractions are already starting to go slower. So I'm like, I wonder if I'm just not going to feel these damn things. And I wake up with a baby in the bed. It's a mess. Just happy I'm going to get some sleep.
And so I fell asleep for an hour. I woke up and I was like, let me get the second pill.
Yo, this really is a good When I tell you, my legs feel like I got weights on them. And then I like got under the cover. I feel like I got on a weighted blanket, Jesus. See, that's why I don't take drugs, because they don't be affecting me the same way other people, because I don't take nothing. My body be like, oh, I don't know what that is. What is this? Yeah, my legs feel so heavy. Am I high?
At that point, I also told my line sister to go home because at this point it's like midnight, going into the 4th, which is a Saturday, and she had been at my house since Thursday with me. So I sent her home. I'm like, just go home, get some sleep. Like, the whole house was crazy at that point. So I was like, just get some sleep. So I went back to sleep. I woke up maybe around 2:30 and I was going to the bathroom and I could feel like water leaking down my leg. And so then I get to the bathroom and then like I'm standing there like, oh, this is like really happening. So there's literally a puddle of water in the bathroom. And so I go and I wake everybody up. I'm like, hey, we got to go to the hospital. My water is broke.
Hey, here's the update. So I was in the bed, sleeping. The first pill was good. I started feeling some like contractions and stuff, waking me up out of my sleep. So I decided to take the second pill. Took that, never quite got back to sleep like I was the first time. And then Anna got into bed, and probably 30 minutes later, I was like, I think my water broke. At which point I got up, and yeah, the liquid was flowing down my legs, and I was running to the bathroom with my towel. Did not pee on myself. So, in the car, headed to the hospital now. Luckily I have these towels and these plastic on my seat, because it is definitely coming out. I'm sitting here feeling like I'm peeing on myself. It's quite ridiculous. So hopefully we'll have an update soon.
So we get to the hospital, and at this point it's maybe 3, and the nurse is examining me, and she gives me like the test to determine if like there's amniotic fluid, and she says, your water did not break. And I'm like, what do you mean my water didn't break? I'm leaking. Like, I came in here with a towel in between my legs because I'm leaking and I can't stop it. And she says, well, we think that you're just peeing on yourself. And I say to her, are you serious right now? I know what it feels like to pee. I can't control this. Like, this is not pee. So she said, well, we'll check it again, but you know, we don't think that your water is broken. So another nurse goes and she checks it, and then they come back and they're saying, nope. We checked it twice. There's no amniotic fluid, so it can't be your water that's broke. And so they also tell me at that point that I'm still only a centimeter dilated. So at this point, it is Saturday morning. It is about 5 o'clock in the morning. They're about to discharge me. I've been in labor for damn near 48 hours, and I'm still only a centimeter dilated, and I don't have a baby.
Yeah, so apparently it didn't break. It might have just been a rupture. So back home I go. These contractions are kicking my butt. I'm exhausted.
She's fighting back like a boss.
I'm so tired.
So I go home and I go to sleep. And I say that because it felt like an out-of-body experience. Basically what was going on was I was dreaming, and because the pain was so great, I guess, my body decided to like play a little trick on me. And so I was in a like room, and my mind said, okay, you have to count all the doorknobs in this room. And then I would look up, and then there would be just doors flying everywhere, and then I had to walk around 1, 2, 3, and literally I'm counting doors in my sleep. And then once I counted all the doors, it was like, okay, count all the legs on the chairs. And literally chairs would disappear, and I'm counting. So finally, this was like around the 7 o'clock time. And so finally I wake up maybe like 8 or 9, and everybody's still sleeping in my house because we had just got back from the hospital. So I decide I'm going to go try to sit on a birthing ball. And I go sit on a birthing ball, and I can't because it hurts. And I wanted to sit on a birthing ball so I could listen to my affirmations. I could look on my wall, look at my affirmations, and just kind of like get my mind right, because I knew like at some point the baby has to come. So eventually I decide, even though I didn't want an epidural all this time, I said to myself, I'm tired. Like, I'm physically exhausted at this point. I just want to sleep. I haven't slept in 2 days. So I wake up my boyfriend and I say, hey, I'm going to get an epidural. Which is funny that I'm saying this because I'd already told all these people, like, do not let me get an epidural. Do not let me get an epidural. So for me to now go to everybody and say I'm getting an epidural was like completely different than the things that we've talked about in my birth plan. So I call my line sister and I'm like, hey, I'm going to get an epidural. And she's like, Jada? And I'm like, nope, no, I just want to sleep. And I was like, y'all not understanding I still have to push the baby out, and I don't know how long that's going to take. So finally my mom wakes up, and I tell her, I said, hey, like, the doctor said that if I'm at least 2 centimeters, I can go to the hospital and get an epidural. So can we like go walk around the block and then go? And so then she says, okay, well, let's make breakfast. And I said, okay. So she's making breakfast. I'm like laying on the couch, but I'm kind of like backwards on the couch. I'm not laying down. I'm kind of like bent over it. And I look up and I say, Mom, what are you making? And she's like, oh, I'm making pancakes. And I was like, we don't have time for pancakes. Like, hurry up, make some toast. Let's go. I'm trying to go get some sleep. So in between that, she's like, okay, I'm going to take my shower. We just go walk. And I was like, great. So in between that, like I said, I'm on the couch. It's a chair. And I'm like backwards. But I kind of was able to tilt my pelvis and it felt so good. It felt so good that some kind of way I fell asleep. And I could hear myself snoring because I was so tired. So maybe 30 minutes later, my mom comes in the room and she hears me making this noise. And she's like, Jada, do you have to push? And I was like, yes! That is exactly what I'm feeling right now. Like, maybe that's why it felt so good to tilt my pelvis, because I literally had to push. At that moment, everybody gets into high gear and we're like flying out the door. So we leave the house around 10:45 in the morning, and the hospital is about a 10-minute drive from my house. We get to the hospital right before 11 o'clock, and we go into the triage, and I tell the lady, I need to push. While I was in the car, there were several times when I felt like I had the urge to push, and I would just try to like hold my body as tight as possible, trying to just keep the baby until I got to the hospital. So the lady in triage quickly put me in a wheelchair, wheeled me on down labor and delivery, and of course the people in labor and delivery are like, there's no way you're ready to like push when you were just here a couple hours ago and you were only 1 centimeter dilated. So I get to the first room and the nurse says she wants to check me. So she said, just, lay down on the bed. You got to take down your bottoms. Well, before I knew it, my pants were at my ankles and I had jumped on the bed, and she was like, and I was like, I need to push. Let's go. So she checked me, and then next thing you know, she starts screaming. She's like, she's 8 centimeters. We got to go right now. So next thing you know, they're like flinging me in the bed to the next room, and everybody's just moving really, really fast. And I'm asking, like, can I push? Can I push? I have to push. And she's like, no, just please try not to push. So finally, I'm like, where's my mom? Where's my boyfriend? Where's everybody? And they're like, let them in, let them in, let them in. And finally, like, okay, you're allowed to push. And I remember I looked at the clock, and the clock it said 11 o'clock. And so they said I could push, and so I like got into position. And the first push, I was like, this hurt. So then I like closed my legs and I jumped back, and I was like, no. And they're like, no, you can't do that. You have to go. So then like I came back down and I was like, oh God, this hurts. Wait, I don't like this. And so then like I was cussing, I was acting up. And then like, cause I felt like there were gonna be some parts missing when I was done. And so the only thing that kept me going was my mom and my sister kept saying, we can see the hair, we can see the hair. And like, Babe's here, Babe's holding my leg, and like the other nurse is holding my leg. My mom and my sister are like screaming that they can see the hair. And so that was motivating me to keep pushing. And it felt like forever. And like, it was like hurting so bad. Like I said, I thought I was going to miss some parts. And so finally the head pops out, and it just was this whole sigh of relief. And I always laugh and I say one day I'll tell the story about how the best time was when his head popped out and like my vagina closed back. It felt like amazing. But after the head came out, the body came out so quick. And they like put it on my chest. And again, like I said, because we were moving so fast, like I didn't have a chance to like change my clothes or anything. And so literally from the time I started pushing at 11, it took me 9 minutes and a few pushes, and my baby was out. Thank God.
So this morning I was fully prepared to come in here and get an epidural, but a thing happened.
What happened?
What happened? It's a boy. I'm home, Mom. And it hurt like hell. I thought my clitoris was gone, y'all. I thought it was gone. But he's awesome already.
The doctors and the nurses were pissed because, like I said to the previous nurses, my water had broke, and it was. And so, unfortunately, there was meconium that was in my amniotic fluid, which can be very harmful to the baby, but thank God nothing was wrong with him and things were just fine. So as I'm laying there and the baby's on my chest, I really thought it was going to be a moment where I was like, I would cry, but actually I was more like in shock. Like I couldn't believe that like I birthed a child and like he's mine and he's here on my chest. And so the emotion I thought I would have was just not there. I didn't cry at all. I was just kind of like shocked. A few minutes after that, my boyfriend is like walking around the room with the phone, and he's like showing people the phone, and I'm like, what are you showing people? And apparently he had already named our son. And I thought we were going to do that together, but apparently he had a name that he dreamed of many years ago, and that name was Victor. So our son's name is Victor, which means conqueror. And the rest of his names are Nigerian. And his middle names are Isamchi, which means one who follows God. Ikemba, which means strength of a nation. That's the one I named him because he was born on August 4th, which is Obama's birthday. And his last name is Anyanwu, which means sunshine. So I've always wanted kids to have like really, really strong names. Even before, I was done with my boyfriend and he's Nigerian, they always have strong names. But even before that, I just always thought that black children in America need to have very strong names because that sets you up for the rest of your life. While the name Victor wasn't one that was on the list that we had decided, it was a perfect name for our son. All of the victories that he's accomplished so far, all the things he's been through, he's such a strong little kid and he is such a conqueror. After my son was born, I was full of adrenaline. I didn't go to sleep, surprisingly, even after 52 hours of having no sleep. I was wired and I was just all about him, and I just wanted to hold him and kiss him and love him, and I was in shock, and I was just on an adrenaline high. And I'm happy because from my understanding, a lot of women who have epidurals are kind of drugged up a little bit, and even the babies are a little bit drugged, and I didn't have that experience at all. And so for me, not having an epidural was the best decision ever. And thank God I was able to push him out so fast, so that wasn't even the issue. For me, the worst part was the crowning. Once that was done, everything else is fine. Except for the fact that what you might not know is after you have a baby, they push on your stomach to get everything else out. This can include the placenta, which I don't even remember it coming out, and other blood and stuff that's still inside of you. And so they're pushing it out so that you're making sure that you get it all out and you don't have clots and all this stuff. That part actually hurt really bad. And what they explained to me was basically most women have an epidural and don't feel that part. And so because I didn't have an epidural, I could feel it for real. But it basically feels like she was pushing my stomach to my back. And several times I had grabbed her hand and pushed her away because it hurt. I mean, it almost hurt worse than having the baby. I didn't understand why that was happening, and nobody ever explained that to me. So that came as a surprise. The next day after I had the baby, the doctor came in and she's like, Jada, what happened? Because your chart is all over the place. And I explained to her just the craziness that happened in that day, and basically how they told me if I had not made it to the hospital in 10 minutes, I would have basically had my son in the car. And it was such a crazy whirlwind experience, but I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. Thank you for watching my crazy birth story, and don't forget to subscribe if you liked it. Also, make sure you comment and let me know what your birth story was like, and was it as crazy as mine? Talk to you later. Peace.